Greetings. Welcome to Into the Light. My name is Donald Schmid, and the topic of today's show is choose your words wisely. For many years, I didn't choose my words wisely. I was a mess. I had a negative attitude. I suffered from depression and said negative words into my life daily. I was so messed up, I didn't even know I was messed up. There was like a darkness and anger, and worked hard, and I didn't know there was a way out, and I didn't know there was a way up. I didn't have God in my life, and I had things happen in my life early in my life, as I mentioned in the last show, and I didn't. There was no light. So when I had an opportunity to come to Staten Island and to come here to uh, CTV, I have I came out of the darkness and I came into the light, and I want to share some words with you from the Passion Translation of um, Living Wisely, Proverbs 13. The words of the wise are kind and easy to swallow, but the unbeliever just wants to pick a fight and argue. Guard your words and you'll guard your life. But if you don't control your tongue, it will ruin everything. I couldn't control my tongue. It was bad. I looked in the mirror and I was gray and my eyes were like slits, and I worked nights into days and days into nights, and it was hard work, and I was miserable, and I was so miserable. I guess I was like kind of happy being miserable. I didn't even know it, and everybody else in my life, they were miserable. They were miserable too. You know, I had a I had a nervous breakdown, and people told me when I was growing up that I would never amount to anything, and I didn't know any better. I believed them. It was a lie. Life and death is in the power of our tongues, and it says choose life. And today I choose life, and I had a teacher in high school, and I think I was a junior. I might have been 17, and it was an English teacher, and she said, Donald, in order to have a conversation, you have to have a speaker and you have to have a listener. But I was a member of the I Know Club, and I knew everything, and I would talk, but I wasn't, I was there, I was present, but I wasn't listening. I was worried about what I was going to say next. I was present, but I wasn't presently present. I didn't remember what you said, and I just, there was no way out. There was no way up. I was steeped in depression. I stayed in beds for a week at a time, and the only time I got out of bed was to cash my Social Security check, to go to the bar around the corner, go to the racetrack, and then go back to bed. And it was all I knew. I had lost my job. Um, I kept on, I was on medication at the time, and I wanted to get the job back, but they wouldn't hire me because they wouldn't rehire me because we worked with moving machinery, and they didn't want me to get hurt. And I kept on going back to human resources, telling them I was okay. They told me to file, another application. I filed another application. I was working at the track, and I was taking care of the horses. And after the races, we'd ride the ponies back to the barn. And there was this new horse, and he was quite fidgety. And they held the horse for me to get on, but what happened was the saddle slipped. The horse ran away. I got kicked in the head and I got dragged, and I had a concussion. And they sent me to the emergency room where the jockeys go and, where all the help goes. And they said, go home, stay awake, don't go to sleep. So I go home, finally getting better, and the phone rings. It's 10 to 8. And it's the place where I put my application in, and they wanted me to come to work that night. And me wanting to work after like 3.5 or 4 years, I went to work. I had a used knot on my head. They gave me a bump cap, but it was too late because I already had the bump, and I just kept on working. On my journey, when I was stuck in a bed, I started to watch TV, and I watched positive TV. There was this guy, I think his name was Tony Robbins, and he was really tall. And he had this book, it was called Awaken the Giant Within. And I was tall, and I resonated with that. And I read the book. I was like, I wanted to get, I thought I wanted to get better, but I wasn't sure. And I read the book, and it told me what not to say. There's some words that we say in our conversations and in our relationships on a daily basis. And one word is can't. I can't do it. And can't is a fear-based word, which actually means I choose not to do it. And I would say, I can't. And I created what's known as a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if I say I can't do it, I believe I can't do it. And that creates a mess. There was a time where I was seeing a therapist, and I had to get a psychiatrist. And I went to see the psychiatrist, and I was on this medication. I was taking one to stay up and one to go to sleep. And I went to him and I said, Doc, somebody told me that I was running out of options, that I had no options. And he looked straight in my eye and he said to me, Donald, there's always an option. And today I sit before you a free man, there's no noise. When I do the show, on the day of the show, sometimes I hear this chatter in my head telling me that I can't do it, but today, because I have a positive influence in my life, there's a verse. I accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior in 1995, and the verse says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. And I invited him to my heart, and I invited him into my life. And in John 15, it says, abide in me, and I will abide in you. And my words are different today. Another word is never. Never say never, because if you get into a fight, you always say never, you never do this, or you never do this. And there's a cousin of never, it's called always. And these words will get you in trouble. Never and always. You always do this, you'll never change, you'll never change, you'll never change. Well, guess what? If you keep on doing the same thing over and over again, you're going to get the same thing over and over again. It's called insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. It doesn't happen. I want to share another verse, learning to speak wisely. And it's in the 12th chapter of Proverbs. It says, truthfulness marks the righteous, but the habitual liar can never be trusted. Truthful words will stand the test of time, but one day every lie will be exposed or will be seen for what it is. And I was just stuck. I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know, and I had to change my attitude. I had a poor attitude. I learned to put gratitude in my attitude, and it's different today. And I'm blessed and I'm grateful. And like I said, weeks at a time in bed, and it just, it says, there's another verse. It says, Lord, make me quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. And years ago, I mentioned that I was in a homeless shelter, and I was with 426 guys, and me, and we worked in this back office, was like a post office, and there was this guy. He was collecting cans, and he was very muscular and everything, and I was afraid of him, and like he was bullying me for a while, and I said, Lord, make me be quick to listen. Lord, make me be slow to speak. Lord, make me be slow to anger. And I said it over and over and over and over again. And as I said it, I believed it. And it got into my heart. And you know what? Things started to get better with this guy. And it got so much better with this guy that he asked me if I would help him find a job. And I did. And I won't say we were friends, but we were acquaintances. And it was because I changed my attitude. But what happened was things were good with him, and I stopped saying, Lord, make me be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. And it came up with somebody else, like somewhere down the line. And when you're in a shelter, there's not a whole lot of things to do. Like you walk the hallways, like you worked for a while, but I I had to learn. I wanted to have a really big library. I like spending time in the library because I like books. I'm a bookworm. And I went into the library, and there was a guy there, and I was having a crappy day. It was like 9:35. It was like 9:35 in the morning, and this guy was an engineer, and he was in a shelter. And he said, Donald, the bend in the road is not the end in the road unless you fail to make the final turn. And I snapped out of it, because I was an encourager, and we had to take these anger management classes and conflict resolution classes and uh, recovery prevention classes to to stay in the program, because it was they tested you for drugs a couple of times a week, and people would try to beat the test and everything and pay off the guy. And I was I was clean for several years, and I was in a lot of pain because I needed knee surgery. And I was like, I wanted to watch my words, but I was like in so much pain that it just hurt all the time. And guys would like hold me up to carry me to the bathroom, and they would we stuck together. What I learned was that when there's a common unity and people come together for a cause, it didn't matter if it was a homeless shelter or a psychiatric hospital. You came together. And in the Bible, in Acts, it said after Jesus had died, they came together and they met in houses and they broke bread together and they had a community purse and they talked about what was going on in their lives because they feared for their lives because Jesus had been persecuted and crucified. and they were afraid that they were going to be next. So they scattered. And when they scattered, God uses that in his purpose for people to tell the good news of the gospel to the people who didn't know him. You know, the people who walk in the darkness have seen a great light. And that's what this show is about, coming out of the darkness into the light. Because I couldn't put a sentence together. I didn't know anything. I didn't graduate school. I had a hard time. I didn't remember what teachers taught me. And with parochial thinking, there's only one right answer. Like you either got it right or you got it wrong. But when you grow up, you learn by doing, and I learned by talking less and listening more. You know, I learned by not suffering from chronic know-it-allism, you know, and things started to gradually change, and it's it's different today. You know, I'm blessed, and I God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He'll make a way for you. Because he's no respecter of persons, you know, I spent a lot of time in the hospital with my family. I was in hospital. My mother was in the hospital. My father was in the hospital. My father had cancer. My mother didn't know my father had cancer. My father didn't know my mother had cancer. And I went to visit my mother, and I was having a bad day. And I was in the hospital, and there was this woman. Her name was Charlotte, and she worked there, and she was a chaplain. And my mom was out of it. I don't know if I was holding my mom's hand, or my church wasn't too far from there. I went to church on Queens Boulevard. And the chaplain said, "Catherine, I'm here, Donald is here, and Jesus is here." All of a sudden, there was a tangible presence where I felt okay. You know, the situation didn't change. My mother would pass a short time later, but I had like peace of mind. And I called up one of the elders at church, and I said, and Charlotte said, "I'm here, Donald's here, and Jesus is here." And I was like, it was okay for the moment, you know, because me and my mom, we always didn't get along, you know, and I was a rotten kid, you know, and mommy was in the hospital a whole lot. And when I was born, my mother had a nervous breakdown, and I almost died at birth. And I blamed myself for being born. And I was saddled with the guilt and condemnation for 40 years that if I wasn't born, my mommy wouldn't be sick. And my mother felt the same way because my grandmother brought me up, my grandmother and my father. He worked 3 jobs. And it wasn't fun. And it was May, it was Mother's Day, and I heard a voice. It said, "Go visit your mother in the hospital." And I went, it was either the hospital or the nursing home because one was right around the corner from each other. It's on 164th Street. St. Joseph's Hospital was there, and around the corner was a senior home. And I went, and I saw something that I had never known about. Her 2 brothers were visiting her for Mother's Day. And the air was so thick because they didn't get along that I felt so bad about the words and stuff I had said about my mother, that I asked her to forgive me. And I made amends with my mom that day. And if you don't know Jesus as your Lord and Savior, all you have to do is confess with your mouth and believe in your heart. And my mother was in bad shape one day, and the Lord told me, go and tell your mother this verse. It says, if you proclaim the name of the Lord, you shall be saved. And I went and I did it, and 3 short months later, my mom died on September 26th. And God had the wisdom to tell me to go visit my mother so I could make amends with her, because I saw the interaction or the lack of interaction with her brothers that I didn't even know about, because depression is a family disease. Suicide is a family disease. Choose your words wisely, this way you don't have to. Words are like toothpaste. Once they're out of the tube, you can't put them back in. And don't regret it for the rest of your life. Life and death is in the power of the tongue, and just choose wisely. I try to love the Lord with all my heart and lean not on my own understanding, acknowledge Him in all my ways, and He opens up doors that no man can shut, and He shuts doors that no man can open. I was in that shelter, and I was there for 15 months, and they wanted me out because it was like a 6 to 9 month program, and they wanted me out. And I looked at some places, and they were on Staten Island, and the dump was on Staten Island, and I didn't want to live in Staten Island, and it smelled in Staten Island. And I said, Lord, send me anywhere, but don't send me to Staten Island. And hello, here I am, and good things happened in Staten Island. I came on July 2nd, 2012, and like October 27th, we had a surprise visit from Superstorm Sandy. And I joined a church. I joined International Christian Center on Richmond Avenue. I made it my church. I did disaster relief. And because I had lost everything in 2011, I could identify with the people. And there's a verse that say, let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, my Lord and my King. And God made a way. There's an Indiana Jones, I don't know which one it was. They were looking for the chalice or something, and Indiana's looking for the cup or the chalice. And if you choose wisely, you live. But if you choose wrongly, your body rapidly accelerates and you die. And the wise man said, you must choose wisely. And there was a guy that went before Indiana, and then he disintegrated. And the guy said, he chose poorly. And choose wisely, choose your words, choose your attitude. Put gratitude in your attitude. I was a mess, and God gave me a message, and my mouth was so screwed up that He told me, if your life is full of garbage, stop talking trash. And I did, and it was subtle, and it was in the beginning. And everything works together for good. to those who honestly seek him on a daily basis. He says, abide in me and I'll abide in you. He says, I've come to give you life more abundantly, and the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. You can look it up, John 10:10. The enemy comes to steal, kill, destroy. He wants to take your dreams away. He wants to take, I didn't have a passion. I didn't have a purpose. You know, we're on Staten Island. Something good's coming to Staten Island. It's called Change Your World. You know, we're going to get together with some people, with some entrepreneurs and business owners, and we're going to get together and we're going to sit down and we're going to have these things. They're called transformation tables. And we're going to bring values to Staten Island, and they're doing it all over the world. They started in Florida. They're doing it in Guatemala. They're doing it in Africa. And I get to be a part of it because I was prepared. I was a Boy Scout. And it said, a Boy Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, brave, clean, and reverent. And when God cleaned me up, I have all those aspects in my life today. And I choose wisely. You know, I'd rather, sometimes it's really difficult when people get on your nerves. You just want to say something, and like I'll go to say something, and nothing comes out. You know, Lord, make me be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. And he's not done with me yet, you know. I'm a work in progress, and we're all a work in progress. And you know what? If you're going through loss and grief, you gotta go through it to get through it. There are no drive-through breakthroughs, and if I could go through it for you, I would. But you gotta go through it too. Trust the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. Acknowledge him in all your ways. Sometimes there's a simple prayer. I didn't always know God. I said, I don't know who you are. I don't know where you are. And I don't know if you are. But if you are, I need you. And I need you now. And I call it the I don't know prayer. And it worked gradually. It worked slowly. You know, it didn't happen overnight. I was like, life is like a rubber band. With the level to which the pain goes down all the way is the same level to which the joy can come when you get through on the other side. And you might be in pain and you're suffering and you're grieving the loss. I've been there. We thank you for watching. I'm grateful. Choose your words wisely. We'll see you next time on Into the Light. Thank you.